got here becoming a leader and telling them guys how this receiver room work and how the offense work, and how to come in to work and become the best player you can be for the whole team.
This is Ja'Corey Brooks, wide receiver out of Louisville. Ja'Corey started at Booker T. Washington High School out of Florida, eventually becoming the top target for the Tornadoes while also running track. In his junior season, Ja'Corey recorded 86 receptions for 1,187 yards and 18 touchdowns. He was an All-American and helped lead the Tornadoes to a win in the 4A Division State Championship. Ja'Corey would then transfer to the prestigious IMG Academy, recording 16 receptions for 306 yards and 5 touchdowns. After entering the recruiting season as a 5-star prospect, Ja'Corey would receive offers from 30 different colleges, including Miami, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Alabama, and would commit to the University of Alabama. Ja'Corey entered into the rotation at Alabama, buried in the depth chart behind Jamison Williams and John Mechie III, being relatively invisible and spending a lot of times on special teams, but he would get his chance to produce in his sophomore season. After both Williams and Mechie left for the NFL, Ja'Corey would become the number 1, recording 39 receptions for 674 yards and 8 touchdowns, becoming quarterback Jalen Milroe's favorite end zone target. Unfortunately, Ja'Corey would suffer a shoulder injury in his junior season, which drastically minimized his output offensively, only recording 3 receptions for 30 yards the entire year. During this time, Ja'Corey would return to spending most of the year on special teams as he recovered. After seeing a massive drop in playing time and head coach Nick Saban retiring in 2023, Ja'Corey would enter the transfer portal, citing his desire to be able to contribute offensively, and would commit to the University of Louisville. Ja'Corey had many questions that needed to be answered coming into 2024, and he did just that. He recorded 61 receptions for 1,013 yards and 9 touchdowns, becoming quarterback Tyler Shook's favorite wideout, and would be one of the best receivers in the ACC, proving any of his doubters wrong. Louisville would go on to play in the Sun Bowl against Washington, but Ja'Corey would sit out as he prepared for the 2025 NFL Draft. Ja'Corey has all the physical gifts of a strong, tall, and fitness of an outside receiver. Being 6'3", he has the great ability to come down with contested catches due to his strong hands, and is a fantastic red zone option for any quarterback. His good hands make him a reliable receiver, able to keep the ball close to his chest and away from defenders, and because of this, Ja'Corey has been described as, quote, a big game performer, making him an instant draw. His route running is extremely polished given his time in college, being very effective with in-cuts and slants while utilizing head fakes and keeping his body in the correct position for leverage, and his pop off the snap is second to none, especially by someone his size. He's also potentially a yards after the catch monster if developed properly, being deceptively quick and shifty for his size. His special teams value and his raw talent with untapped potential could be a very big draw for a lot of NFL teams looking for a receiver in the later rounds. While Ja'Corey is quick and shifty, that doesn't necessarily translate to top speed, with many scouts questioning his actual deep threat ability. He runs around a 4.6 in the 40, which isn't horrible, but it doesn't look like it on the field, with his speed quickly topping out and allowing a faster defender to match him stride for stride. His route tree is also extremely limited, being mostly effective on his in-cutting routes, but lacking in other areas of his tree. Ja'Corey relies too much at times on his physical gifts rather than his technique, which isn't sustainable, especially against NFL corners. But possibly the biggest issue scouts have with Ja'Corey is his injury history and his lack of real tape. He's really only had 2 productive seasons in college, with his year at Louisville being his only year where his production per game was consistent, and his nagging upper body injuries have him labeled as a, quote, medical question mark by a lot of scouts. A lot of NFL teams may look to pass on Ja'Corey and take a more polished option, rather than spend the time needed to help him develop. Ja'Corey is the definition of a day 3 wide receiver, having all the physical gifts and raw talent to become a producer at the next level, but his injury concerns and over-reliance on his physicals can tend to make a lot of scouts wary of looking favorable on him. Ja'Corey has issues that a coaching staff would need to address, but the potential is definitely there. His frame and polished short and intermediate route running has a ton of potential to become great, with his shiftiness giving him the ability to become a great yards after the catch receiver. Raw potential receivers always get picked in the NFL, and I can see a 5th or 6th round selection as a good area for him. While I may be a Kentucky fan, and yes, I'm still salty about Louisville pounding Kentucky this year in football, I recognize talent when I see it, and I believe that if Jacory continues to improve, he could be the next late round gem that NFL teams oh so crave.